Yeah.
Who's that?
Herschel.
Oh, Herschel was the MC?
No. MC.
Okay. So yesterday, for those who weren't with us, we spoke about a number of different things, but we were talking about Genevas Das, about deception when it comes to hiding a defect in a product that you're selling, even if it works perfectly the same and it doesn't even downgrade the value. But if you hide a defect from a customer, the customer can void the sale nonetheless. Okay, so this is something that we've learned before. Next is lahaftir b'chaver sheyisad imo, to a completely different issue, but still in the wheelhouse of Choshen Mishpat, which is to pressure your friend to dine with you. She'ela ha'imoter lahaftir b'chaver sheyavo lisod o lihitarich etzlo k'sheyodea bo sha'oto chaver lo yavo lisod o lihitarich etzlo. We learned this when we learned Imre Yaakov. We learned about this halacha. This is going back quite a ways. Are you allowed to really try to pressure someone to come dine or stay with you when you know that he's not going to come, but you want to do it to tell him how much you wish he could come to you, so that you'll show him, you'll falsely give him the impression that you really want him, when in reality you don't want him, but you're just doing it so that you'll curry favor with him.
The person doesn't realize that?
The person doesn't realize it. So this is still this is connected to the Gineva Stas issue. That's why it comes right afterwards. So tshuva, asur adam lahaftzir b'chaver sheyavu lisod im yodea bo she'eno soid eitz alacher. So let's say you have a friend and he never eats out. That's his policy, but then you say to him, oh, I wish I could have you over to my house. Let's say the rabbi, he doesn't eat at other people's homes. So you say, oh, Rabbi, I'm such a good cook. I wish you could come and, oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. That makes me feel good. But v'gam etzlo hulo yavo, but you know that he's not going to come to eat by you. V'chol ha'osa ke nimsa gonev das habrios b'dvarim, shemara sha'osu b'shvilo ve'eno osa. This is considered to be gnevas das, because what you're doing is that you're trying to give off the impression that you're such a magnanimous host, when in reality, that's not the case. You're just saying it because I can't tell you the number of times my wife tells me that women speak like this all the time. We have to get together. Yes, my wife says, okay, so
Name a date.
we'll speak during the week. You'll call me?
No.
And then nothing happens. My wife tells me this happens among women a lot. And
maybe they go home and tell their husbands, and the husbands say no.
Yeah, I don't know. Have any of you ever experienced this with people where people say things and then
We must do lunch.
yeah, we must do lunch, right? We'll have to do lunch. We'll have to get together. All right, Varekan hu goinev dato lahachzik lo tova bechinam. And so part of the Gnevas Das is that you're showing someone a kindness so that they can feel in some way indebted to you, when in reality, no such kindness was ever intended. V'chol din zeh she'ein lahaftzir b'chaver she'yavo lisod etzlo davka shemaftzir b'harbe pa'amim shelo kinahu, azai over be'isr kishiyodea bo shelo yochel etzlo. This whole prohibition is only when you do it multiple times in an abnormal way. So then you're over the isser when you know that he's not going to come dine with you. But to say it out of kavod, let's say, I wish I could have you over, and then you leave it at that, so then that's okay. You're just basically showing him that you wish you could have him over. But if you say it multiple times, then it's considered to be gnevas das.
How about for business? You want to go to buy or for a meal, even though you hate them, but you want to get orders.
Well, that's a transactional relationship. It's clear. There's no deception there. He knows and you know that the reason you're taking him out for dinner is so that you can get his business. I mean, let's face it, in the business world, relationships are for the purpose of making money. Right? That's the ultimate example of ahava hatzluya b'davar, which is what I spoke about on Shabbos Shuvah, that love that is contingent upon something. Once that something no longer exists, the love no longer exists. And the Mishnah says that that's not true love. That's not true friendship. A friendship that's contingent upon something. And it's important for us to always check, what is the basis of this relationship?
My mitzvah, my cousin that lives in East Mongolia in a mountain village. I'm gonna send him an invitation. I know he's not gonna come.
You might send you a present.
Yeah, but that's not transitional, that's.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I think what you're showing him is that you haven't forgotten him. Yeah, you thought about him. Yeah, you know he's not going to come. But
Worse if you know someone's gonna be out of town and you invite them up for that week,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Then you don't really have an interest in having them, you just want to issue an invitation.
right.
If you want to show them too, right? You're thinking of them and you.
No, I mean, in Izzy's
It's not,
case,
it's
yeah,
not real, it's not real.
in Izzy's case, but if you're not really thinking about them, if you have to find the time when you know they're not available, and invite them for that.
We got league tickets, we always do it like from there, so.
Sometimes people can change their plans. They know the fireworks lights up.
Okay. Let us go on. Mochar ba'onis b'pachos mishavyo. Let's say a person was coerced to sell an item for less than its value. Misha ansuhu limkar et hachefetz b'pachos mishavyo af b'yoser mishtos. Hayim nikna hachefetz o inkan kinyan afim yachzer achar kaches haona. A person was coerced to sell an object less than its value. Now, what the coercion is, we'll have to wait and see. And it's certainly below more than a sixth of the differential. So, do we say that b'di'eved, there's nothing you can do about it because the sale is final, or can we say that a person can later void the sale using a beis din? Even if the guy is willing to return the loss of money. So the answer is, Misha ansu lim chayfetz b'shavyo ad shemochar v'lokach demei hamekach memkar o memkar. He says, if a person was pressured to sell an item for its real value, ad shemochar v'lokach demei hamekach, to the point where, fine, I'll sell it, and he ends up selling it, and the guy buys it, then b'di'eved we say that it's a valid sale. Beinim ze metaltalim bein bekarka kimipnei ha'ones gomaru makna. Because once a person is coerced, even if there's like some whatever pressure is placed upon him, nonetheless, he has in mind to relinquish the property, and the property b'di'eved therefore is relinquished. However, uva ansuhu limkar b'pachas mishavi b'pachas mishtus, yesh omrim kana umachzer ona kamol b'chol mekach. And it is on that basis that some poskim say that when a person is pressured to sell something for far less than its value, then also b'di'eved, the buyer is kona. However, I can take him later and force him to pay the differential. The item was really worth 100, you only paid 75, you owe me 25. However, v'yesh omrim da'af b'shtus batel hamekach keven she'eno misratze al sikum hamos is a nechshav kematana, or sorry, nechshav kemasne shekafuhu litein ein ze matana. He says, however, their opinion that in that kind of situation, the sale is not valid. He says, because the person who's selling it really doesn't want to sell it and also is not satisfied with the price. And therefore, there's a condition in his mind that he'll only sell it if he's getting his true value. It's like if a person was pressured to gift something, we don't say that b'di'evet it's a gift. We say that no, he can later void that gift. Here too, when I'm giving you something for less than its value, I have a right to say that the whole sale is invalid. The chol zedavka imansuhu rak al hamechira v'lo ansuhu al hasikum. V'hamocher lo hiskim el hamachmas ha'ones af bekarka batal hamekach. And this is all true if he was coerced for the sale, but he wasn't coerced on price, and the seller only agreed to sell because he felt he was being pressured to sell. So the language here is unclear. It's very unclear here. But the bottom line is that there's a machlokus in the poskim as to whether a person can later invalidate the sale. Okay, how much time do you have to claim that I was ripped off? Zman tviyas ha'ona. Mishani sa'ana kegon shehamocher lokach yoser mishivoy ha'chefetz. Mahu hazman shenasnu chachamu lokech shechol litvos ha'ona levatel hasamecha. A person was pressured a person was ripped off. Let's say the seller sold it for far more than it was worth. How much time does a person have to claim that he was ripped off so that he can go to Beis Din and nullify the sale? Do you have a day? Do you have 6 months? Do you have a year? What's the time limit?
When does the clock start? Does it start when you find out? Because
It starts as soon as the purchase is consummated. That's the question. That's when the clock starts. Now, how much time do you have in order to invalidate the sale?
So find out for 6 months that you were ripped off.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, so the Gemara's criterion is Kidei Sheyara Latagar, the amount of time that it'll take you to show to an expert, and the expert can evaluate it for you. Okay, that's the time limit that the Gemara gives, but that's not so easy. How long will it take you to find an expert to give you a valuation on the product?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so there's a lot of gray area there.
This is going in seconds and it's a ripoff. Like, what does that mean?
You won't know in 4 seconds, but you'll show it to a friend as I mean, it depends. Where is the transaction taking place? Are you on a plane, like, and it's only the two of you guys? Or, where is this taking place?
No, they have to be proactive and seek out an evaluation as soon as you have the item.
Right, so that's the part that's not so clear, right? Like, you say that you have a certain amount of time. Question is, how much time is it that Chazal give you? So that's what we want to find out. For some reason, well, this isn't working. Okay. Anyway, so Zman Tviyas Ha'ona Bitul Hamekach Inam Nimshachim La'olam. So it's not it's not that you have forever to void the sale. Elanasnu Chachamim Zman Katzav Bidvarim Kedei Sheyiskaimu Inyane Hamekach VeHamemkar B'nei Adam. He says, because if Chazal would have given a person an indefinite amount of time, like even years later, people wouldn't be able to function in a commercial system. It just wouldn't work. Ulefikach, and therefore, lokeach shenis ane, yochel litvo ha'ona b'shtus, o lachzer mehamekach b'yoser mishtus, ad zman shiyara litager o likrovo. So the Gemara's criterion is, how long will it take you to show to an expert valuator or to a friend or a relative who can know for sure that you got ripped off? That's how long it'll take you to find out if you were ripped off or not. But if you tarried longer than that, then you can't come back a week later and say you were ripped off. Because we assume that if it took that much time for you to find out the information, then you must have already been moichel. But if it's clear that you weren't able to show it to someone after the purchase, in other words, you would have to demonstrate to the Beis Din that the reason why it took me a full week to realize that I got ripped off was because I had to rush off to Eretz Yisrael and I didn't have time. I left the item with me. I had to run out and then come back. And that's the reason why I wasn't able to really carefully attend to this issue. But now that I'm back, someone told me I got ripped off and therefore I want my money back. Now, it's really important here to differentiate between now. So this whole concept of ad shiyara l'tager, you have the amount of time it takes for you to show it to someone who can give you an impartial valuation of the item. There's another halacha that we have to learn in conjunction with this, and that halacha states that if someone comes from the shuk and has just purchased an item, and he shows it to you because he's proud of what he's just purchased, you're not allowed to say anything negative about the item. Why? Because that also could be onas devarim. Here the guy is feeling so good about something that he purchased, and now you sort of deflate his balloon and saying, you paid that for that ugly thing, for that hideous thing.
He could be saying it because he said, you got ripped off, man. You're my friend, and I'm telling you, you overpaid. Go back to the store.
Okay.
Or
So
even 6 months later, you buy a piece of jewelry or a piece of silver, and someone comes to your house for Shabbos, you told me, I got that at the store downtown, whatever, and I paid $1,000. The guy goes, what are you talking about? Why didn't you come to me? I did this. That's not worth more than $200. You find out 6 months later that you got chipped.
oh, okay. So let's say that's a 6 month later situation. The time of ad shiyara l'tagar has already elapsed. Okay. So for you to say that to him at that point could be onas devarim. It could be lashon hara. There could be a number of things. Instead of saying you got ripped off, you should tell the guy, listen, it's a beautiful piece. Whereas you're not allowed to denigrate the aesthetics of the thing that he bought, because that also is onas devarim. Like a guy buys a new suit and he's so proud of how he looks, and in the meantime, it's a very unflattering cut, and it's a hideous color or whatever it is. And with women, this is especially going to be the situation. It's onas devarim to tell a person, you like that dress, you think that makes you look good, right? You're not allowed to say that.
Try that with your wife.
How I look.
No, does this make me look fat? That's the real killer. Okay.
But a true friend, that's a careful
I have
one-time
big
line.
problems with this. This is, it's, if you're being ehrlich about it, you want to know the guy who sold your friend this piece, he's a shtickle ganav. You have to let people know, like, that you can't buy from this guy because he rips you, like, you're not having wrong intentions. You're doing it.
But why can't you say next time you want something?
Next time you want to buy a
can't do
piece of
anything
jewelry,
about it.
do me a favor,
But
come
you
to
should
me
know that you got
first.
ripped off.
Come to me first. No, you shouldn't. Well, I'm
What's
not sure
the
that you're allowed to say that the guy
What's the
got ripped off, because it's already past the time when it's actionable. So in a situation where you feel that you can have there's a toeles, there's a benefit to letting the guy know that he got ripped off because it's soon after the purchase, and you feel that he can go back and ask for his money back, then you have a responsibility to
It's
tell
kind of
him.
like you go out to a gala or something very important, and a guy walks in and you say, "Oh God, where did you get that outfit?" Right at the beginning of the night. That's going to be self-conscious the whole night. You're gonna ruin it. They tell them after, say, you look terrible last night.
But you know, so when it comes to aesthetics, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so maybe
You don't say it.
maybe you shouldn't say that at all. In other words, what the point I'm making is you're only allowed to, here's when a person is curious, did I make a good purchase? And he asks you that, your first question is, well, how long ago did you buy it? And if he tells you I got it 6 months ago, so you said, then the next question is, well, did you get evaluated at the time? And if he says no, but I really liked it, and so I got it, then you should say it's a beautiful piece. And next time, come to me a little bit earlier and we can discuss, you know, we can discuss issues of price. But I'm not going to comment on it now because there's nothing you can do about it now. Right? That would be the appropriate answer. Right?
See that.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
then you go tell all your friends.
Okay, as a follow-up to that is Misha Hamisana Yochel, Masha Hamisana Yochel Lachzor Ad Kedei Sheyara Litagar or Likrovo Imsha Yoser Ani Yochel Lachzor Bo. Okay, so we just learned that if you get ripped off, you only have a certain limited amount of time to act on that, to act on voiding the sale. The amount of time that it would take to show to an expert or to a relative, but if you wait longer than that, then it's too late. Now, ha'im din ze dafka shenasan halokeach hamos, aval kishlo nasan mos lamocher yachol lachsebo av achar zman ze. What if I haven't paid for the item yet? Does that extend my time so that I can tell the guy I'm not paying you until we
Does
renegotiate
that
the
mean you
price?
bought it on Visa and you haven't paid Visa yet, or you haven't paid for the action?
Perhaps, I'm not sure.
You can cancel them.
You can cancel it on your Visa, or perhaps you just have a business like, you know, buy now, pay later kind of situation with this guy. So the question is, if the guy tells you 2 weeks later that you're not getting it for a good price, do you have are you entitled at that point, because you haven't paid yet, to now argue, well, I don't want to go through with the deal? So tshuva, ma she'ein halokeach yachol lachzor bo, hainu davka im nasan halokeach hamos. He says, yes, it's only if you've already paid the money. Ulam im lo nasan adayin mos lamocher, yachol lachzor bo kevin diyesh lo lokeach migu. Dahainu shemitoch shiyu chalomar nasati yachol lomar lo nisrat seisi. However, when you haven't yet paid the money, you now have the ability to say, I have a migu, I have the strength of a halachic logical argument. Since I could have already argued that I paid you, I could also argue that I am not really happy with this purchase. He says, V'yesh omrim, but some others argue and they say, Shafilu below migu yochol lachzabo kol zman shelo nasa mos, ve'enanu omrim shemachal kevin shamos biyado lo chashash livdok. Some say that the argument is not because you have a migu, because that a migu is not going to work when you're dealing with a corporation that has meticulous records, right? But the other argument as to why you have a right to void the sale, even if it's after the normal time limit, is because you have a right to say, the reason why I didn't show it to anyone yet is because I hadn't yet shelled out the money for it. I figured I had time. Because the whole argument that why you only have a limited amount of time is because we assume that the fact that you waited a week or 2 weeks means that you had the opportunity to show it to someone. They were able to tell you that it's really not worth what you paid, but you said, all right, I'll be moichel. You know, it's only an extra $100 or $200. I'm not going to make an issue out of it. Okay, let's say that's the argument. But over here, maybe your attitude is, no, I feel that the reason why I didn't say anything and I didn't even bother showing it to anyone is because I hadn't yet paid for it. So there was nothing for me to be moichel. I always figured I had more time. So therefore, I didn't bother checking until I knew that I had to pay. So it's on that basis that I guess the poskim say that that you can, as long as you haven't paid, you can go back. Now he has this question over here. He says, "V'yesh la'ayin od l'shita zu she'omeres d'chol zman shelo nasan mos yochel lachzor v'afilu b'lo migu." He says, based on that, ma yeh hadin k'sheshilem b'check uzman hapiron hu ma'uchar. What if you give the guy a post-dated check for the goods? So that in that it's almost like a credit card payment. The nearer bepashdus im nisane chashiv k'mo shelo nasan akatimos u'motzi lachzor bo. It says it seems to me, he says, that you could, if the guy isn't able to get his money out yet from the transaction, so long as that he hasn't cashed the check, you would be allowed to say, hey, I've been ripped off, even if it's a couple of weeks later. Shaharei biyado levatel hacheck, because you always have the ability to cancel the check, but he leaves it with its tzarachim. It's not so clear. And furthermore, the Nesiva says, let's say you haven't taken delivery of the item. Well, if you haven't taken delivery yet of the item, then there's no way for you to show it to someone else and ask them for a valuation. So then certainly you would be allowed to, even if it's a month later, you would be allowed to go back. It happens quite often, I'm sure, in many businesses, in your business too, where you agreed on a certain price for a commodity, and what they end up shipping is not what you had expected. In other words, the product is inferior to what was represented or what you thought you were getting. You saw a picture of it. The picture doesn't exactly meet the expectations.
It's not necessarily just the product, it could be the packaging too. There's many angles there that don't, you think you're getting X and you
Right.
get Y, and it's problematic,
Right.
on stuff where it's supposed to be bilingual on both sides. The French rules are crazy today for packaging, and they ship you.
Oh, that's interesting. So if a vendor from the States sells you an item and it doesn't have the bilingual labeling. So
It's even like usually when you buy from the States, it's not a product, it's only in English. 95% of the time, it's when you buy through these people from the Orient and you do the packaging and you do it to a bilingual packaging by the standards, and they send you it comes both sides in French, or the size is wrong. Like there's a million things that that you're like, I've had this already where they had to redo boxes and air them to me at their expense, and they paid me to switch the packaging because it wasn't what I approved. It wasn't what was supposed to
So
be.
you had to repackage it at your
Sure,
workplace?
of course, but I had them pay for that for my labor time too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nightmare.
And what are the laws as far as
The laws now in Canada, well,
we'll hold it here for
crazy. They want now, it used to be